Hello ladies and gentlemen, and this is a presentation regarding the Asian and the Middle Eastern architectural designs. This presentation is brought to you by Group 4 ACC1 English 7. So let's get to it. So we'll be starting off with the historical background of our architectural designs. First up, we'll be discussing the Asian architectural designs, and secondly, we'll be talking about the Middle Eastern architectural designs. So let's get to it. Asian architecture. Only a few groups whose architecture was most recognizable or even prominent. First type is the Chinese architecture. Temples and palaces that are often adorned with animals and or mythical creatures in the form of statues or decorations. China is considered one of the oldest civilizations, and its architecture was born throughout the dynasties, starting with the Tang Dynasty, which was about 1618 to 907 AD. Much of the Chinese architecture has had a huge influence on other countries' architecture, mostly in Southeast Asia and the South Asia. Japanese architecture. Japanese architecture began at around 57 BC and was also influenced by Korean architecture. Similarly to Chinese architecture, they also had castles and temples. Needless to say, the Chinese made a big contribution to architecture all over Asia, and whatever different styles another culture created was also adapted by another country. Now, Middle Eastern architecture. Mostly the architecture in the Middle East revolves around Islam. It's heavily influenced on Byzantine, Roman, Persian, and Mesopotamian architecture. Back then, it was mostly mosque, and there were definitely fewer colors. Nowadays, you can see mesmerizing and modern-looking architecture in the Middle East, mostly attributed by the oil boom in the Middle East, which increased their economic capacity, which allowed them to create more bolder and more modern-looking architecture. They do a good job of maintaining the style of their mosque, and at the same time incorporate some new flares, such as the Al-Haram Mosque in Mecca, as shown above, which is located in Saudi Arabia, which started around 1571 and still stands up to this day. Now I'll be talking about the characteristics or features of Asian architectural designs. The first feature of Asian architecture is the auspicious colors of their buildings. Most commonly used colors are yellow, which symbolizes royalty, and it was the color of the royal family, such as the emperors, empress, the kings, and queens. Secondly, was red. To them, this was the lucky color. Yes. And the last color commonly used was green, which symbolizes growth and wealth. As you can see here in the first picture, is the Forbidden City in Beijing, China, the Imperial Palace during the Ming Dynasty and to the Qing Dynasty. Since this is an imperial palace, so this is a home of the royal family and all other nobles in China. And since they're all nobles, the architecture has somehow tried to symbolize their royalty, as this is well seen in their roofs, bright yellow roofs. It symbolizes royalty. So yes, it's a no-brainer that this architecture was for the kings and queens only, and the royal and other royal nobles. And secondly secondly commonly used color was red, as you can see through their walls, which symbolizes good luck. So in a way that this walls protects the royal family and the nobles, but also painting around it red also wishes the walls were filled with good luck, as no bad luck would come in to the palace. Our second example is the Cheonggyeong Palace in Seoul, South Korea, which was built by King Sejong for his father Taeyong in the mid-15th century. As you can see in the walls, the most prominent color used was red. It symbolizes good luck. So in a way, as a gift of Sejong to his father Taeyong, also symbolizes like good luck to his father. So yeah. The second feature in Asian architecture is the elegance. While Asian architecture emphasized practicality, people saw to it that the structure they built were as pretty as they were practical. This Gopura Nachara temple in southern India features elaborate decorative sculptures, as of here, seen here, of which one look at the picture is enough to make you want to visit India. So it's very, very pretty, and the details are well made, and the structure is built well enough that it can stand the test of time. A very good job, well done. Third feature is the symbolic ornamentation. Symbolic figures are often seen in Asian architecture. People carve animals in their buildings and temples. This is not only to exhibit beauty, but they were also meant to represent something. For example, was the dragon, which was used to show power, strength, and attract good luck to people who deserved it. Now, the fourth feature in Asian architecture is the accommodating religious rituals. The two styles, the Japanese and the Chinese architecture, was vastly influenced by Hinduism and Buddhism. Evidently, in temples, we can observe the focus on the nature's influence. They were mostly built on mountains, or sometimes carved on caves. It can also be seen that often these structures have pavilions, where people do their prayers. Now, another feature is the consistency. And since Asian architecture are still very consistent, that is why it's very hard to distinguish which structure was built in the ancient period or which one was put up in the modern time. This shows that the people in those countries were very traditional, and so traditional in fact that in even 1,000 years had passed, the same architectural designs were still used. Kudos to them. Another feature is the precise, harmonious geometry. As you can see, it is evident that ancient architecture is marked by precise, harmonious geometry and symmetrical layouts. The second photo shows the adherence to symmetric rule, where the main house stands in the north, while the secondary building is lined up to the sides. On the north, then the side build and the secondary buildings go to the side. However, you notice that their gardens were left with no particular arrangement. This is because they see that for this, they must leave it to nature. Therefore, in totality, Asian architecture is the combination of man-made design and natural scenery. So what is impressive in this architecture is that in a way that they create man-made objects, it is part of their philosophy that to respect the nature of things, in a way that they won't disrupt the growth of nature around their buildings. So, in a way, it's quite impressive that this philosophy incorporates two things. Talking about the characteristics of Middle Eastern architectural design. So, a takeaway. Middle Eastern architecture incorporates both secular and religious styles. Though it is noted that Middle East architecture is based around Islam, the inspiration behind them were still pretty pre-Islamic. So later, throughout time, the more Muslim or more Islam-inspired architectural designs such as the minarets Muqarnas, Arasbeke, Islamic geometric pattern, the pointed arch, the multiform arch, and the onion dome developed later. So, before Middle Eastern architecture was created, it was still heavily inspired by the Roman, the Byzantine, and Persian and Mesopotamian architectures. So the first distinct feature of Middle Eastern architecture is the Paradise Gardens. Paradise Gardens is a four-part garden laid out in axial path that intersects the garden center. Another example of this garden is a charbagh. This highly structured geometrical scheme. It is used for organization and domestication, and to highlight political territory. An example is this Al-Kabab garden. As you can see, four-part garden laid out in axial pattern that intersects at the garden center. Very highly structured. There's a geometrical scheme, and as it is for organization and domestication, and it shows political territory. And the second prominent feature in Middle Eastern architecture is the courtyard, or sehan. It's open to the sky, surrounded on all sides by structures with halls and rooms, shaded, semi-open arcade. An example of this is a house as well. As you can see, it's open to the sky. This is an example of a house. It is surrounded by all sides by structures with halls and rooms and a shaded semi-open arcade. This is the Great Mosque of Kairouan. Fourth prominent feature is the vaulting. So as you can see, this is the vaulting. It is a Umayyad architecture that still continues in Syrian traditions of the 6th and 7th century. Eastern Islamic architecture was mainly influenced by the Sasanian style and forms. The fourth prominent feature is the hypostyle hall. It is an open hall by columns, the reception set on the right angle to the main hall, and it is inspired by during the Achaemenid period of the Persian Empire. The fifth prominent feature in Middle Eastern architecture is the Mugarna. In the Mugarna, it is heavily inspired by northeastern Iran. Is heavily used, in northeastern Iran and the Maghreb. It started during the 10th century, and the description of its style is like the honeycomb or stalactite vaults, as you can see here. Stalactite, as you can see from the ice glacier, like pointing down. However, while maintaining a honeycomb-like style or vaults. It's mostly made out of stone, brick, wood, or stucco. Now another prominent feature is the ornament. These are mathematically complicated and elaborate geometric interlacing patterns, floral motifs such as the arabesque, and the elaborate calligraphic inscriptions. As you can see here, it's very mesmerizing, yet mathematically accurate. This was the Mevlana Mausoleum, which heavily implemented this ornament feature of Middle Eastern architecture. Now we'll be showing you some example architecture. And now we'll be showing you Middle Eastern architecture examples. First of all, I'll be showing you the modern or the contemporary Middle Eastern architecture, which is the Burj Khalifa, located in Dubai, United Arab Emirates. It is a residential tower, 160-story tower, in fact. It is a podium structure adjacent. It has a central hexagonal core with 3 wings, which is clustered around it. While moving up along the tower, 1 wing at each tier is set back. This makes decreasing cross sections when moving up. The structure consists of 26 terraces. Employs a Y-shaped floor plan. The shape and the upward setbacks help the structure to reduce the wind forces that is acting on the building. The whole system is constructed by using high-performance concrete wall. Each wing buttress the other through a hexagonal central core with the high-performance concrete used. Now, an example of ancient Middle Eastern architecture is the Dome of the Rock Khabat al-Sakhra. It is a shrine. There's only one dome with no minaret. Its architecture and mosaics are patterned after nearby Byzantine churches and palaces. It is an octagonal plan of structure, which may have been influenced by the Byzantine Church, the seat of Mary, also known as Kathisma in Greek or Al-Kadismo in Arabic. It is located in Jerusalem. Now we'll be showing you Asian architectural design examples. First off, in India, the Taj Mahal. It is a ivory white marble mausoleum. The tomb is centerpiece of a 17-hectare or 42-acre complex which includes a mosque and a guest house. It features 4 minarets which frame the tomb and has main marble dome, a smaller dome and smaller domes, and a decorative spire that extend off the edges of the base walls. And because of its shape, the dome is often called an onion dome. Each minaret is effectively divided into 3 equal parts by 2 working balconies that ring the tower. At the top of the tower is the final balcony. Now the second example is the Angkor Wat. It's located in Cambodia. It is a temple complex and the largest religious monument in the world. It uses prominently sandstones rather than bricks or laterite as the main building material. It features the Ogval, redented towers which broaden and shaped like a lotus buds, half galleries to broaden passageways, axial galleries connecting enclosures, the cruciform terraces which appear along the main axis of the temple. Typical decorative elements are devatas or the apasaras, bas-reliefs, and the pendament's extensive garlands and narrative scenes. The statuary of Angkor Wat is considered conservative, being more static and less graceful than earlier works. And the last example is the Kinkaji Temple of the Golden Pavilion. The Golden Pavilion is a 3-story high building, and it is covered in gold because it was an important addition to the pavilion because of its underlying meaning. The gold employed was intended to mitigate and purify any pollution and negative thoughts and feelings towards death. The pavilion successfully incorporates 3 distinct styles of architecture, which is the Shinrin, Samurai, and Zen, specifically on each floor. The roof is in a thatched pyramid with shingles. The building is topped with a bronze phoenix ornament, and it has a gold leaf covering the upper stories, which hints at what is housed inside, the shrines. It is located in Kyoto, Japan. And now we'll be showing you Philippine structures or buildings which employ Middle Eastern or Asian architectural designs. First off, the Cebu Taoist Temple, located in the Cebu, Philippines, and it is an Asian-inspired architecture. This construction was initiated by the Filipino-Chinese community, located at the top of the mountain, which the temple entrance is patterned after the Great Wall of China. It features traditional Chinese symbols, such as the dragon and pagoda roofs, and its complex is truly dedicated to Taoism, an ancient Chinese religion. It composes of multiple structures scattered around a lush and verdant setting. The second is the Tanghalang Pambansa Cultural Center of the Philippines, located in Manila, Philippines, and it is an Asian-inspired architecture. This building serves as a flagship venue and principal offices of the Cultural Center of the Philippines. Tanghalan is a primary example of the architect's signature style known as the floating volume, a trait which can be seen in structures indigenous to Asian countries, such as the Nipa hut. It features a 2-story travertine block suspended 12 meters high by deep concave cantilevers on 3 sides. The rest of the structure is clad in concrete textured by crushed seashells, originally found in the reclamation site. The building is built on a massive podium, enter entry through a vehicular ramp in front of the raised lobby, and a pedestrian side entry on its northwest side. And now another example of Philippine architecture. The Grand Mosque of Cotabato. It is located in Cotabato, Philippines, and it is a Middle Eastern inspired architecture. It is the largest mosque in the Philippines with a capacity to accommodate 15,000 people. The mosque domes is painted in gold and their tips are adorned by crescent moons. The building 4 minarets stands 43 meters high, or 141 feet high, and is lit at night, which serves as a guide for aircraft pilots flying near the area. And last but not the least example, the ruins. Located in Bacolod, Philippines, and it is a Middle Eastern inspired architecture. This is the mansion of Don Mariano Ledesma Lacson, was built in the early 1900s, but to this day, this 903 square meter structure still stands tall amidst in a sugar plantation, and its grandeur is a testament of the lifestyle of the hacienderos. Constructed out of oversized steel bars and the A-grade mixture of concrete. The wall finishing, which were made of egg whites mixed with cement, gave its marble-like appearance. The structure of the ruins is the Italianate architecture with neo-Romanesque colors. And this is all for today. And these are the Group 4 members: Sharon Aham, Dean Vincebera, Chanel Samaro, Apu Luger, Raymond Balay, and Mika Sarmalo. And we thank you for staying with us in this presentation. And God bless you. Signing off, Dean Vincebera.